There's this very specific sinking feeling.
Hmm.
I think every generation of parents probably feels it, but it feels so sharp right now.
Yeah.
It's that moment, maybe it's a Sunday night, you're looking at your teenager, and
Yeah.
you think, are they actually going to make
The
it?
universal anxiety, the are the kids all right question.
Exactly. And if you look around, the answer the world is screaming at you is a resounding no.
It
You
is.
open a newspaper, you scroll social media, and the story is monolithic. The youth are broken, they're anxious, fragile, screen addicted, and just totally unprepared.
It's a heavy narrative.
It's so heavy.
And, it's a compelling one because it confirms our worst fears.
Mm.
It validates that sinking feeling you're talking about. But what if that whole story is based on a glitch in our own perception?
A glitch. That sounds a little matrixy. Are you telling me the kids are fine and we're the ones hallucinating?
In a way, yes. That's really the core argument of the deep dive we're doing today.
Yep.
We are unpacking this really provocative article by Ryan Collison from Money Sex Nerd.
Okay.
It's titled, "The Kids Are All Right. Stop Optimizing for the Remembered World."
Stop optimizing for the remembered world. Okay, I like that title, but I have to be the skeptic for a second.
Please.
Is this just another one of those let kids run free and eat dirt things? Because when I see a kid who can't make eye contact because they're glued to TikTok, that doesn't feel like a perception glitch.
No, I get
That
that.
feels like a problem.
And that's a totally valid reaction.
Yeah.
But Collison isn't saying ignore the behavior. He's not really offering traditional parenting advice here.
Okay, so what is he doing?
He's actually dismantling what he calls the standard story, that the kids need fixing and replacing it with a completely different lens,
The different lens.
which is,
That the kids aren't fragile. Our model of childhood is what's fragile.
okay, explain that. Well, let's go back to that title, The Remembered World. The argument is that the core conflict happens because parents are measuring their children against a reality that it doesn't exist anymore.
So we're grading them on a rubric from what, 1995?
Precisely. Every generation grows up in a world their parents didn't. That's always been true. But the rate of change right now is so fast that the gap between the parents' remembered world and the child's actual world isn't just a gap.
It's a chasm.
It's a chasm. And when we try to bridge it with old advice, it creates all this conflict.
Okay.
I mean, think about the classic parenting frameworks. We all know about authoritative parenting, right?
Vaguely. Isn't that the gold standard? Not authoritarian like a dictator, but authoritative, firm, but loving.
Right. For decades, that's been the psychological gold standard. High warmth, high structure. You give them love, but you also provide a very clear, rigid path for them to follow.
Which sounds perfectly reasonable. Why would that be a problem? Structure is good.
It is. Kids need safety. But structure, in this context, usually means guiding a child toward a very specific definition of success.
Do X, Y, and Z, and you'll have a good life.
Exactly. But here's the twist Collison introduces. That model only works when the future is predictable.
Wait, walk me through that. Why does predictability matter for structure?
Because if you're building a structure to prepare them for a specific outcome, you need to be pretty sure that outcome is, possible. When the future is volatile, rigid structure isn't good parenting. He calls it guesswork dressed as confidence.
Ouch. Guesswork dressed as confidence. That hits a little close to home.
Right.
So we're just confidently guiding them down a path that might lead right off a cliff.
Or just to a dead end. If you rigorously train a child for a job market that won't exist in 2040, you're not preparing them. You're training them for a ghost world.
So what's the alternative? Do we just toss out parenting, let them go feral, because who knows what happens next? That seems terrifying.
No, and this is a crucial distinction. The source argues that authoritative parenting is really two things bundled together.
Okay.
There's the relational part and the structural part. The relational part, the warmth, the love, the connection, that's timeless. That still works.
So love is still legal. Good, we can keep that.
Love is safe.
Yeah?
But the structural part, the specific guidance toward a specific career, is broken because the outcomes are all unknown. So we need to decouple them.
Keep the warmth tight, hold the structure loose.
Much, much looser.
That makes sense in theory. But let's apply this to what drives parents crazy on a Tuesday night. Because holding structure loosely sounds great until you're trying to get a teenager to focus.
Ah, yes, attention.
The ADHD explosion. It really feels like attention spans have been shattered. We look at them and think they can't focus for more than 6 seconds. Is that just remembered world bias too?
It feels very real, I know. But Collison pushes back hard on this. He refutes the idea that their attention is broken. He says it's a mismatch
A mismatch between what and what?
between their brains and their environment. These kids have brains that have been shaped by an information-rich, high-stimulation world. That's their native terrain.
They're optimized for it.
Right, for rapid processing and switching. That we take those brains and we drop them into institutions, like a traditional school, that were designed for the 19th century.
So the classroom is the remembered world made of brick and mortar.
Exactly. It's information scarce, it's slow, it's linear. And when a brain calibrated for that high-speed world rejects the low-speed environment, we call it a disorder. We say the kid is broken.
But the source says.
Same brains, different fit.
So it's like taking a Formula One car, forcing it to drive 15 miles per hour, and then saying the car is defective because the engine is overheating.
That is the perfect analogy. And you see it right. Put that same unfocused kid in front of a complex video game or a coding problem.
And their focus is insane.
It's intense. It's sustained. They can focus. They just can't focus on things that feel totally obsolete to their nervous systems.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room.
The screens.
The screens. This feels like where the generational war is really fought. The source takes a pretty hard stance on screen time, doesn't it?
It calls screen time a completely useless metric.
Useless. That feels extreme. I mean, surely 12 hours a day staring at a light source is bad.
Well, think about why it's useless. It lumps everything together based on the hardware, not the activity.
Right.
If you treat coding a website, mindlessly scrolling TikTok, and FaceTiming your grandmother as the exact same thing just because they happen on a glowing rectangle, you're not seeing reality.
That's fair. I mean, nobody tracks paper time.
Exactly.
We don't say, oh, you spent 2 hours on paper time, whether you were writing a novel or reading a trashy tabloid.
The medium isn't the message here. The activity is. Collison says we have to look at the terrain, not the duration. Are they creating or consuming? Connecting or isolating?
So if they're on Discord with 5 friends strategizing a raid, that's not just zombie mode.
No. That's socialization, teamwork, strategic planning. I mean, that's conflict resolution. But to a parent just peeking in, it just looks like a kid staring at a box.
Right, because our childhood playing meant being outside with the stick.
And to be fair, the stick was great.
The stick was a classic, infinite battery life, very durable.
The stick was great. But it's not the only way to build skills.
Wait, I'm with you on the attention and screens, to a point. But here's where I struggle. Friction.
Friction intolerance.
Yes. The biggest complaint I hear, and one I've made myself, is that kids today have no grit. If something's hard, they quit. If they have to wait, they crumble. And surely grit is a good thing. You can't tell me that being unable to handle difficulty is a savvy adaptation. That just sounds like weakness.
Well, hold on. The source actually rationalizes this. It's a concept called cognitive load optimization.
That sounds like a very fancy corporate word for lazy.
It does, but hear him out. We live in a friction-minimized economy. You can get food in 20 minutes, find any fact in 3 seconds. In a world like that, tolerating unnecessary friction isn't grit.
It's just inefficiency.
It's inefficiency. And the article uses this fantastic analogy to clarify it.
Okay.
The Blockbuster analogy.
Oh, I miss Blockbuster. Please share.
Think back to renting a movie in 1995. You had to get in the car, drive to the store, hope the movie was even there.
It usually wasn't. It was always in the return bin, and you had to stalk the clerk.
Right. So you handled disappointment, you picked a backup, you stood in line, paid, drove home, rewound the tape. All that friction.
Right.
Now, a parent might look back and say, that built character. That taught patience.
I definitely feel like I earned that movie more than when I just clicked play on Netflix.
But did you?
Yeah.
Or was it just the price of admission? Collison argues that driving to Blockbuster didn't build character. It was just a cost, a pure cost.
So asking kids to tolerate that kind of friction is just nostalgia?
It's friction nostalgia. We had to distinguish between developmental friction, like learning violin, where the struggle is the point, and pure cost friction, which is just doing things slowly because that's how we used to do them.
That is a huge shift. So if my kid finds a shortcut for their homework or automates a chore, that's not laziness.
In the economy they're entering, that's an asset. Eliminating friction is a high-value skill. Why would we train them to tolerate inefficiency just because we had to?
Speaking of the economy, let's talk about the finances, the avocado toast generation.
Ah, yes, the symbol of all financial irresponsibility.
Supposedly. But this deep dive claims there's actually a mathematical logic to it. They use a term, ergodic reasoning.
Yes. This is a bit technical, but it's really crucial. Ergodicity is basically about how we calculate risk and averages.
Okay, break it down for the non-statisticians. Why does this justify expensive toast?
Okay, so the old financial models, compound interest is magic, save 10% and you'll be a millionaire. They rely on a stable, predictable economy.
The remembered world economy.
Exactly. It assumes if you follow the average path, you get the average reward. The work hard, save up, buy a house script. That was the promise.
Right.
But kids today look at the numbers. Housing prices, inflation, wage stagnation. They do the math and they realize the game is rigged. The goalposts are moving faster than they can run.
So the average path doesn't lead to the average reward anymore.
Correct. It's a non-ergodic world for them.
Yeah.
The buy-in for stability, like a down payment, is often mathematically impossible for an average person in a big city. So saving pennies just, it doesn't make sense the way it did for us.
So spending $5 on toast isn't them being bad at math.
It's them being good at math. It's what he calls present orientation. If the big future rewards are out of reach no matter what, then maximizing your present well-being is actually the smarter bet.
It's not defeatism, it's realism.
It's economic adaptation. We just call it bad with money because it breaks the rules of the 1980s. But those rules don't apply anymore.
So this paints a picture of a generation that's actually hyper-rational. They're adapting to everything. So what does this mean for their resumes? If that old path is crumbling, what are they actually learning?
This is maybe the most hopeful part of the source. Collison talks about invisible competence.
Invisible because parents can't see it.
Both. Or because employers don't value it yet. These are skills that don't have names yet. They don't fit on a traditional resume.
Okay, give me some examples. What's a skill for the job market of 2035?
Think about that kid managing a Discord server we mentioned.
Okay.
They're not just chatting. They're doing community management, conflict resolution, systems administration.
That's literally a middle management job description.
Exactly. Or a kid trying to go viral on TikTok. We roll our eyes, but that's algorithm navigation. It's attention arbitrage.
Attention arbitrage. That sounds like something a hedge fund manager does.
It is. It's understanding how to capture and direct value in a crowded marketplace. Content creation, digital literacy, rapid adaptability. They're building a skill stack that is perfectly suited for a digital high-flux economy.
But we look at it and say, stop wasting time on your phone.
Because it doesn't look like work to us. It's not a spreadsheet. But in 20 years, algorithm navigator could be a senior VP role.
So we've dismantled the old styles, reframed attention in screens, justified the toast. This leaves the parent in a weird spot. We can't use our old maps. What do we do?
Right. We can't just do nothing. And the source offers a really clear framework. It starts with distinguishing between two things, content and capacity.
Okay, what's the difference?
Content is specific knowledge, facts, how to use a certain software. Content goes obsolete. Knowing how to use a card catalog was content in 1990. It's useless now.
Right. I haven't used the Dewey Decimal System in a very long time.
But capacity is different. Capacity is the underlying ability to adapt, emotional regulation, learning new things quickly, connecting with others. That remains valuable no matter what the future looks like.
So the advice is, stop obsessing over the content, the specific grades, and pour all your energy into capacity.
Exactly. Can they recover from failure? Can they regulate their emotions? Can they figure out a new system? That's the survival kit for 2045.
And this leads to what the source calls the ultimate skill, which, interestingly, is a skill for the parent.
Co-regulation.
We hear this term a lot. Let's define it for this deep dive. What is co-regulation here?
It's the ability to share your calm. When you can't predict the future, you can't offer your kid a map. You can't say, go this way and you'll be safe. The only honest thing you can offer them is a stable nervous system.
The only honest thing you can offer is a stable nervous system. Wow, that hits hard.
It's the anchor. When their world is chaotic, they don't need your anxious advice about a world that's already gone. They need your presence.
Right.
They need to be able to plug into your calm to regulate their own anxiety.
That feels like a relief, actually. It takes the pressure off me to be a career counselor for a job that hasn't been invented.
It absolutely should be a relief. It shifts the job description from fixer or strategist to connector.
And part of that connection, according to the source, is the power of 3 little words. I don't know.
Yes, which parents are terrified to say. We feel like we have to be the authority. But Carlson argues that admitting ignorance about the future is actually a gift.
How so? Doesn't that make them feel unsafe?
Paradoxically, no. It makes them feel validated. If you pretend to know how the future will play out, you're lying. And on some level, they know you're lying.
Right.
When you say, I don't know, you validate their uncertainty. You model comfort with it. You show them that it's okay not to have all the answers.
It's modeling adaptability in real time. I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Exactly. That's the lesson they actually need.
I want to zoom out for a second because the source does this great bit on historical context. We feel like this is so unique to us. Like the smartphone ruined everything, and this is the first time in history kids have been broken.
The cycle of panic.
Yeah.
It is a tale as old as time.
Give us the highlights.
Well, you go back to ancient Greece. Socrates. He's on record complaining that the youth of Athens love luxury, have bad manners, and disrespect their elders.
Socrates said that, the guy who basically invented Western philosophy.
He did. Sounded just like a cranky grandpa. Jump forward to the Victorians. They panicked about novels. They thought reading novels would rot women's brains and detach them from reality.
The dangerous, immersive world of Jane Austen.
Dangerous stuff. Then the 1950s, parents thought rock and roll was moral collapse. The 80s, Dungeons and Dragons. The 2000s, the internet. Every single generation believes the next one is going to hell in a handbasket.
And the twists.
The kids turned out fine. Every single time.
But why? Were the parents just wrong?
The kids turned out fine not because there were no problems, but because they adapted to their actual environment. They ignored the panic and figured out how to live in the world they were actually handed.
So the Victorian kids integrated novels, the 50s kids integrated rock and roll, and our kids are integrating the algorithm.
Precisely. They are adapting. What looks like dysfunction to us is often just adaptation to a world we don't fully understand.
That is such a powerful reframe. So if we had to summarize the mission of this deep dive.
The summary is this. The kids aren't all right because they meet your external standard. They are all right because they are successfully adapting to a high-information, unpredictable world.
And our job
is to shift from fixing to connecting. Support their capacity, and stop pretending you have a map for a territory you've never visited.
I love that. It's about humility.
It is.
You know, this brings up a final thought for me, a provocative one to leave everyone with.
What's that?
If we accept this premise that our remembered world is basically a hallucination, what other absolute truths are we clinging to?
Oh, that's good.
I mean, think about it. Our rigid ideas about what success looks like, what happiness looks like, what a good life is, how many of those definitions are just fossils from 1990? Are we making ourselves miserable trying to live up to a standard that doesn't even make sense anymore?
That is the ultimate question. Maybe the kids aren't the only ones who need to stop optimizing for the remembered world.
Maybe the avocado toast is the right call for us, too.
Maybe the philosophy holds up.
Well, on that note, we hope this deep dive helps you look at the so-called chaos or laziness of the next generation with fresh eyes. Maybe they aren't broken. Maybe they're just pioneers.
Thanks for listening.
Catch you next time.